in this pandemic season, to be honest, this has been a really dry season for me spiritually. It's felt isolating, not only from community, but there's been just a strange new sense of isolation from the Lord, of having to adapt my spiritual rhythms. And I think this season has illuminated for me so much about how heartbreaking it is to me that in spite of the Lord's goodness and who he is in his grand story, and also who he's been in my life, that I still need help to love him. So lines like, "Let thy goodness like a fetter bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, take and seal it for thy courts above." And there's something so heartbreaking to me about the mystery and the glory and the beauty of God. There's nothing better and nothing more holy and wonderful than the Lord himself. And even with having that in my life and seeing it, it's still my inclination to just drift a different way. Like that loving the Lord takes choice, that it takes obedience.
Yeah, a similar line for me every time we sing this song is "Prone to wander." Lord, I feel it, right? I think that's the human condition. We feel that tension of getting pulled away to lesser things constantly, right? And losing focus, losing our center of gravity, right? Our obedience, our faithfulness, our center. The vulnerability and the honesty of that line always catches me, and that's one of the things I do love about that song too.
I know, I love what you shared because I really resonate with it too. Like, COVID's been hard for me. I feel like a lot of my rhythms got cut off. I all of a sudden felt like where I was getting really healthy before COVID, and then I lost a bunch of health, and I've been floundering in many ways, and God's still been good and been showing up and been present for me, but in some ways I feel like I've failed him, Like I feel like I've let him down. Yeah. But another thing I love about this song is, "Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be." Like, if I get to the point in my faith where I feel like my position before God is based on me being a good little girl and doing all this stuff, right? I've lost sight of the entire gospel. Because daily, "Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be." Every single day, we are in God's debt because of his grace, and our relationship with him is based upon his grace, not our performance. And so to remember, even in the midst of my failing and my flailing and my wandering, my relationship with God is solid, not because of what I've done, but because of what Jesus has done on my behalf. God sees me through the eyes of grace. He sees me in the righteousness of Christ, and he loves me as his beloved daughter, regardless of whether I'm flailing and floundering or whether I'm really, some spiritual superwoman or whatever. Mm-hmm. No matter where on the spectrum I am, my reality with God is dependent upon his grace that I need every single day.
In these seasons where the pillars of my life that have held it up are the habits and the things that I'm used to and the rhythms that I get into, when those pillars get smashed and they're gone and I'm left with nothing, it's those moments, right, where I'm reminded that it is God's grace, right? It's like when everything is stripped away, those are the moments where I finally have that wake up again. And it's the cycle, right? It's this prone to wander, a constant wandering that brings us through the cycle of being reminded of grace. I think it's hard for me to remember grace when I'm feeling good, but I'm reminded of it when everything feels a bit desolate.